Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. This time we're going to be tackling the Gadabursi clan.
Oh, excellent.
You want to know about them, their history, culture, and their role in today's world.
Right.
And for this, we'll be taking excerpts from a book called Gadabursi, a chronicle of history, culture, and identity.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah. I'm excited to unpack this with you.
I think you'll find their story really quite captivating.
Yeah.
The Gadabursi, they offer kind of a unique lens to look at Somali society,
Yeah.
both its past and its very dynamic present.
Yeah, I'm ready. Even just the name, Gadabursi, it sounds intriguing. I know it means people of the mountains, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Gada for mountain and Brusi meaning dwellers. So right away it connects them to their traditional homeland, which is a mountainous region, the Adal region.
Oh, wow.
But names, in Somali culture, names have a deeper meaning.
Right, yeah.
So you have to think about the symbolism of a mountain. Strength, resilience, this enduring presence.
Yeah.
So the name itself almost hints at the character of this clan.
So it's more than just a geographical descriptor. It speaks to their identity that makes me even more curious about their origins and their lineage. I know that they're part of the larger Somali clan system.
They are.
Right.
Exactly. Like a lot of Somali clans, they trace their ancestry back to Deer.
Okay.
Deer is this legendary figure who's prominent in all the Somali origin stories. But what makes the Gadabursi distinct is their descent from Sheikh Samaroon. And he's a very key figure, credited with uniting all these different groups under that Gadabursi name.
Got it, got it.
So he's very central to their specific origin story.
So they have this shared heritage with these other major clans.
Yes.
But then Sheikh Samaroon, that's their unique branch.
Exactly.
On that family tree. And within the Gadabursi, there are further subdivisions.
Of course.
Like Rear Nur and Rear Ugas.
You got it. This highlights the internal diversity within the clan itself.
Okay.
And this is where I think it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Somali culture places huge importance on these oral genealogies. So you have these intricate family trees passed down through generations. And these genealogies, they blend historical fact with mythology.
Oh, wow.
To kind of weave this rich narrative that really defines identity and belonging.
So it's not just a dry list of names, it's a living story.
Absolutely.
That connects people.
It's a living story.
Into their past, into each other.
Yeah, and to each other.
I can see why that would be so powerful.
It is Somali culture.
It provides this sense of continuity, of shared heritage.
Yeah.
It anchors individuals within this larger social structure. Of course, with an oral tradition, there's always the challenge of like verifying every single detail historically. But the cultural significance.
The way these genealogies shape identity and shape social dynamics. It's undeniable.
Absolutely. Now, I understand there's a unique leadership system within the Gadabursi clan.
There is.
The Ugas system.
The Ugas system.
It's not quite like a king or president, is it?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
The Ugas is the traditional leader. But think of them more as a guide.
Okay.
A unifier, chosen for their wisdom and their ability to represent the whole clan.
Right.
It's a role rooted in deep respect and trust.
I'm curious, how is the Ugas chosen?
So it's a fascinating process that's really embedded in tradition. The selection involves this council of elders from the different subclans, and they very carefully consider candidates. And these candidates are known for their integrity, their wisdom, and their ability to mediate. It's not simply about lineage, although lineage does play a role. But the chosen Ugas must embody the values of the clan and must be capable of unifying its members.
So it's a blend of heritage and merit. Where leadership isn't just claimed, it has to be earned through character and capability.
You got it.
And the Ugas' power, it's not absolute.
No, they act as a mediator in disputes. Protector of the culture, symbol of unity, almost a spiritual figurehead. And their authority rests on community trust and consensus.
That's a very interesting contrast to the more centralized leadership structures.
It is.
We see in other parts of the world.
It speaks to a different idea of power. One based on consensus and community trust.
Yeah.
And the Ugas system It really reflects the Gadabursi's strong pastoral traditions. These values of community, consensus, and respect for elders. It's paramount, but it's not a static system stuck in the past. It has adapted to modern challenges to kind of become a bridge between tradition and contemporary governance.
Now, shifting gears a bit, you mentioned earlier the Gadabursi skill in diplomacy.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about the Anglo-Gadabursi Treaty of 1884.
Right.
A time when European colonialism was expanding rapidly.
Exactly.
That must have been a pivotal moment for them.
Absolutely, a significant historical marker. One of the first treaties between a Somali clan and a European power.
Wow.
In this case, the British. So it speaks volumes about the Gadabursi's proactive approach to safeguarding their interests in this changing world.
What were the key elements of that treaty?
Well, it had several. It had mutual protection, so the British would defend the Gadabursi, recognition of Gadabursi autonomy, so they could manage their own affairs. Trade agreements that were intended to benefit both sides. It was a very strategic move, I think, on the part of the Gadabursi to secure their borders, preserve their self-governance, and establish these economic ties.
It sounds like they were shrewd negotiators, securing some important concessions from a powerful empire.
Exactly.
I'm curious about the long-term consequences, though. Did it truly protect their autonomy in the long run?
That's the crucial question. While the treaty initially provided stability and protection, the reality of colonialism is complex. And over time, British influence expanded in the region. And the Gadabursi, like many Somali clans, faced challenges to their traditional way of life and to their autonomy. So the treaty was a moment of strategic negotiation. But it didn't fully insulate them from these larger forces.
So it was kind of a temporary buffer.
It was.
A way to buy time and adapt to the changing circumstances.
A way to buy time.
A testament to their diplomatic skills.
Absolutely.
But also a reminder of the limits of those agreements.
Exactly.
In the face of these larger geopolitical forces.
The treaty highlights the Gadabursi's proactive approach to this complex world. Their ability to engage with powerful external forces while striving to preserve their own identity and interests.
Now, we've talked about their leadership, their diplomacy. But I'm eager to delve into their more cultural side. I hear that the Gadabursis have a very rich tradition of oral poetry.
Oh, absolutely. Poetry is more than just art for them. It's woven into the fabric of their society. It's a tool for preserving history, resolving conflicts, expressing cultural identity, and passing down wisdom.
So their poems are like,
you could say that.
capsules of knowledge and emotion. Passed down.
Passed down through generations.
What kinds of themes and stories do these poems explore?
Well, they're incredibly diverse. But you see some common themes that emerge. You find poems celebrating the beauty of their homeland, this mountainous land, reflecting their connection to nature. You have others that recount stories of struggle and resilience, echoing historical experiences. And many of them offer wisdom and guidance, almost like proverbs set to music, giving you insights into their values and worldview.
So their poetry offers a window into their soul.
It does.
You know, a way to understand their history and their values and their aspirations.
It does.
I'm particularly interested in Ugas, a renowned Gadabursi poet. What makes his verses so celebrated?
Well, he was a master wordsmith. Really known for his ability to capture the essence of Gadabursi identity and spirit. And I think his poems resonate with people because they speak to these universal human experiences. You know, love, loss, courage, the search for meaning. But they also reflect a profound respect for tradition. And a very keen understanding of the challenges facing his people.
So it seems like his poetry transcends time, connecting generations.
It does.
Through these shared emotions and experiences, it's remarkable how oral traditions can hold such enduring power.
It is.
Isn't it?
It's not just poetry, of course. Proverbs and storytelling also play really vital roles in shaping their worldview and passing down knowledge.
It's a unique oral library.
It is, full of wisdom and insight.
Speaking of shared experiences, I understand that Gadabursi have these vibrant ceremonies.
They do.
That mark key events. And reinforce their social bonds.
That's right.
Their weddings, in particular, sound incredibly lively.
Their weddings, or aruska,
okay,
are a spectacle of color, music, and tradition.
Yeah.
They're a testament to the importance of community and the celebration of life's milestones.
Tell me more about them. What makes them so unique?
Well, it starts even before the wedding day.
Okay.
You have negotiations between families, often led by elders.
Okay.
And they discuss and agree upon things like the mihr, which is the bridal gift.
Right.
Which can be livestock, money, or valuables.
Okay.
And this symbolizes the groom's commitment.
Right.
And it's a way of ensuring that both families are in agreement.
Okay.
And that the union has their blessings.
So it reinforces the idea that marriage isn't just about two individuals. It's about uniting families and communities.
Exactly.
Then the wedding day itself sounds like an explosion of celebration.
It is. It is. You see traditional attire, vibrant dances.
Okay.
And, of course, poetry takes center stage. Women will often lead the singing.
Oh, wow.
Praising the couple, invoking blessings, sharing wisdom through these poetic verses.
It sounds incredibly festive.
It is.
And meaningful.
Very much so.
Must be quite a sight to behold.
It truly is.
Yeah.
And the festivities can last for days.
Oh, wow.
With feasting and dancing and a constant flow of poetry and song.
Wow.
It's not just about having fun.
Yeah.
It's about strengthening those bonds of family and community.
Right.
Reminding everyone that for the Gadabursi, life's joys are meant to be shared.
Yeah, it sounds like a powerful affirmation of their values and their collective spirit.
Absolutely.
Are there other ceremonies besides weddings that mark key life stages?
Oh, there's a rich tapestry of ceremonies.
Okay.
You have, for instance, the kakibo, the naming ceremony, held 7 days after a child is born.
All right.
Deeply rooted in Islamic tradition.
Okay.
Involves a sacrifice, blessings.
Okay.
Careful selection of a meaningful name, often referencing ancestors or religious figures.
It's a way of welcoming the child into the world and the clan.
It is. It is.
Connecting them to their lineage.
Yes, and their heritage.
It's beautiful how these ceremonies weave together faith, family, and cultural identity.
It is.
It sounds like a powerful way to root individuals in their community right from the start.
Exactly. And then there are rites of passage.
Okay.
Those ceremonies marking transitions from one stage of life to another.
Right.
Reinforcing social roles and values.
I'm curious about those rites of passage. What kind of ceremonies do they have?
Well, for boys, the gudninka,
okay,
the circumcision ceremony, marks their entry into manhood.
Okay.
A significant event. Feasts, prayers, and teachings about the responsibilities that come with adulthood. It's not just a physical ritual, it's a social and spiritual transformation.
It sounds like a very profound moment of transition.
It is.
Not just physically, but also socially and spiritually.
Yeah.
Are there similar ceremonies for girls?
Yes, girls have coming-of-age rituals as well that celebrate their transition to womanhood and prepare them for their roles as future mothers and keepers of tradition.
Okay.
And these ceremonies emphasize the importance of women within Gadabursi society and transmit knowledge about their unique roles and responsibilities.
So these ceremonies highlight how each stage of life is recognized and celebrated within the community.
That's right.
Reinforcing values and social bonds along the way.
Absolutely.
They sound incredibly rich and meaningful.
They are.
And they speak to a culture that values tradition, continuity, and the interconnectedness of individuals within this larger social fabric.
That's right.
You know, it's a fascinating contrast
it is.
to societies that emphasize individualism and often overlook the importance of these communal rituals.
Exactly.
Speaking of interconnectedness, I'm also curious about how the Gadabursi navigate conflict and maintain peace within their communities.
Right.
They have a long history in a region that's experienced its share of turmoil.
That's a crucial aspect of their story, like any community.
Right.
They've faced conflicts throughout their history, but they've developed mechanisms for managing and resolving these conflicts, drawing on their strong cultural values and traditional systems.
I'm really eager to learn more about those mechanisms and how they approach peace building, both within their own clan and in the wider context of Somali society.
Right.
It seems like they have some valuable insights to offer, especially in a world grappling with so much division and conflict.
I think you'll find their approach quite insightful. They've had to navigate these complex relationships with neighboring clans, as well as larger powers, while also trying to maintain this internal cohesion.
this is also fascinating. Before we get into their approach to conflict resolution and peace building, let's take a quick break.
Sounds good.
We'll come back refreshed and ready to uncover more about the Gadabursi clan. I'm
looking forward to it.
So before the break, we were about to explore how the Gadabursi deal with conflict and build peace.
Right.
You know, I have to imagine, given their long history, there must have been disagreements and disputes, right?
Oh, of course. Like any society, they face their share of conflict, particularly in a region that's marked by, competition for resources and these shifting power dynamics.
Right.
But what I think is so fascinating is how they've woven conflict resolution into their cultural fabric. Using these traditional mechanisms to try to maintain stability and social harmony.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether.
Right.
It's about having the tools and the wisdom to address it constructively.
Yeah.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about these mechanisms.
Well, let's consider for a second their pastoral lifestyle. Sharing grazing lands and water sources can obviously lead to friction, especially in times of scarcity. Historically, disputes between the Gadabursi and neighboring clans like the Isa over these resources were not uncommon. But they would often rely on this system of mediation involving these respected elders and, of course, the Ugas to try to negotiate settlements and really prevent these disputes from escalating into these big conflicts.
That's interesting. It sounds like they understood that conflict was inevitable. But they had systems in place.
They did.
To manage it and find these peaceful resolutions.
Right.
Were those systems always successful?
Well, I mean, success in conflict resolution is never guaranteed.
Right.
But the Gadabursi emphasis on mediation and consensus building really did help to prevent many of those disputes from spiraling out of control. And it's important to remember that their traditions, their pastoral traditions, really value this interdependence and community cohesion. Resolving conflict peacefully was seen as essential to maintaining those social bonds and ensuring the well-being of the entire community.
It sounds like a very pragmatic approach.
It was.
Understanding that these ongoing feuds could harm everyone in the long run.
Right.
What about conflicts with larger external powers? We talked about the treaty with the British, but did those relationships always remain peaceful?
Not always. Colonialism brought its own set of challenges. European powers sought to exert more control over Somali territories. And the Gadabursi, while initially engaging in diplomacy, also resisted attempts to undermine their autonomy.
So they weren't afraid to stand up for their rights.
They were not.
And resist that encroachment on their traditional ways of life.
Exactly.
How did that resistance manifest?
Well, it took different forms.
Okay.
At times, they engaged in armed resistance to defend their territories. But they also continued to use diplomacy, leveraging their negotiation skills to protect their interests and maintain a certain level of self-governance even within this colonial system. The Ugas played a very crucial role in both, rallying the clan and advocating for their rights.
So they were adaptable.
They were
shifting between those different strategies, using both diplomacy and armed resistance.
That's right.
To navigate this very challenging, political landscape.
It was a delicate balancing act.
Yeah. Did this approach prove to be effective?
It's hard to measure effectiveness in these complex historical situations. Colonialism ultimately reshaped the Horn of Africa. But the Gadabursi's resistance, both diplomatic and military, shows their determination to assert their agency and preserve their identity. It's a real testament to their resilience and their unwillingness to be just passive subjects of colonial rule.
It's inspiring to hear how they fought to maintain their autonomy. It speaks to their strength and their commitment to their way of life. Now, shifting gears a bit, I'm curious about the Gadabursi's experience with these migration and settlement patterns. Have they always been concentrated in that Aldal region? Or have they moved across different areas throughout their history?
Well, their history is marked by movement and adaptation. Remember we talked about their early migrations from the Ethiopian highlands towards the Somali plains. Those movements were driven by this search for grazing lands and resources.
Right.
So mobility and adaptability are really woven into their story.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Nomadic pastoralism often requires that flexibility and willingness to move in response to environmental conditions.
Absolutely.
And resource availability.
Right.
So where did these migrations lead them?
Well, as we said, Borama.
Okay.
The cultural and administrative capital of Odal holds a special place for them.
Okay.
It's this vibrant hub with rich history, bustling markets. You even have a mood university there,
right.
A testament to their commitment to education.
It's fascinating to see how they've embraced education.
It is.
And established institutions that contribute to the development of their communities. I understand, though, that their presence extends beyond Somaliland.
It does.
What about other regions?
Well, Djibouti has also been a historically significant area for the Gadabursi.
Okay.
Especially what's called the Gadabursi corridor.
Okay.
It spans both Somaliland and Djibouti.
Okay.
It's been this vital zone for trade and cultural exchange. Although competition for resources with the Isa clan has also been a factor in the region's history.
It sounds like a complex and dynamic region.
It is.
Where both collaboration and competition have really shaped those relationships between the different clans.
Exactly.
Are there other areas where the Gadabursi have settled?
Yes, we can't forget their presence in the Ethiopian highlands.
Okay.
Particularly the Hararg region.
Okay.
It's known for its fertile land and its coffee production. Historically, the Gadabursi maintained these seasonal migration routes to the highlands.
Okay.
They take advantage of the different resources the area offered.
Right.
It demonstrates their adaptability.
Yeah.
Their ability to thrive in different environments.
So they've got this remarkable ability to adapt
to
different ecological zones and leverage the resources that are available.
Right.
It speaks to their resilience and their resourcefulness. But in the modern era, their migrations have taken on new forms, haven't they?
They have, yeah.
We're talking about the Gadabursi diaspora.
Yes.
A global phenomenon that's really reshaped their story.
Absolutely. Driven by various factors, political instability, economic hardship, also just the pursuit of new opportunities.
Right.
Many Gadabursi have migrated to these urban centers and countries around the world.
Yep.
You'll find Gadabursi communities in Europe, North America, the Middle East, and elsewhere.
Yeah.
They carry their traditions and values with them, building new lives while maintaining these connections to their homeland.
So the Gadabursi story is no longer confined to the Horn of Africa.
Right.
It's a global story.
Yes, it is.
One of migration, adaptation, and the resilience of culture.
Exactly. And this diaspora has played a significant role in supporting their communities back home.
Okay.
They send remittances, invest in businesses, and contribute to development initiatives. They're a vital link between the Gadabursi homeland and the wider world.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're maintaining this strong sense of community even across vast distances.
They are.
But I imagine navigating the complexities of this globalized world while also preserving their cultural identity must present its own set of challenges.
It does.
How are they addressing those challenges?
It's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
You know, the Gadabursi diaspora faces these same pressures of assimilation and integration that a lot of immigrant communities do.
Right.
But they're working hard to preserve their language, their traditions, and their values.
Okay.
They establish cultural centers, they organize events, they find creative ways to pass down this heritage to younger generations who are growing up in these very different environments.
So they're building bridges between the old and the new.
Yeah.
Finding ways to honor their roots.
Exactly.
While also embracing the opportunities of their adopted countries. It's a real testament to their adaptability.
It is.
And their commitment to preserving their cultural identity.
Yes, and it brings us to the Gadabursi in the modern world.
Okay.
Actively shaping the future of Somali society.
Right.
They're not just clinging to the past.
Right.
They're engaged in politics, education, economic development, and peace building, drawing on their traditions and experiences to navigate these complexities of a rapidly changing world.
That's what I find so inspiring about their story.
Yeah.
It's not just about preserving the past.
Right.
It's about using those traditions as a foundation.
Absolutely.
For building a better future.
That's right.
Tell me more about their contributions to Somali society today.
Well, politically, they've been very active in Somaliland's government, advocating for stability, democracy, and development. They've played a crucial role in making Somaliland this model of self-governance in a region often marked by instability.
It's fascinating how they've embraced these democratic principles and contributed to building a functioning government in a region facing so many challenges.
It is.
Right.
And they haven't forgotten about the rest of Somalia.
Okay.
Gadabursi leaders have been involved in national politics as well.
Okay.
Working to rebuild the country after decades of conflict and promote this vision of unity and peace.
So they're engaging on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Both regionally and nationally.
That's right.
Demonstrating their commitment to a peaceful and prosperous Somalia.
Exactly.
What about their contributions beyond the political sphere?
Well, education has always been a priority for the Gadabursi. Mood University is a testament to that commitment.
Right.
And members of the diaspora have established schools and scholarship programs.
Oh, wow.
To support education back home. They recognize that knowledge is essential for progress and empowerment.
It's really impressive to see their dedication to education.
It is.
Their understanding that investing in human capital is crucial for long-term development.
It is.
What about their role in the economy? How are they adapting to this changing global landscape?
Well, the Gadabursis have a long tradition of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Historically, they were traders, herders, skilled negotiators.
Right.
And today, they're involved in diverse economic activities, both in Somalia and abroad.
Okay.
Their businesses contribute to job creation, economic growth, and community development.
So they're leveraging their entrepreneurial spirit and skills to create these opportunities and build a more sustainable future.
That's right.
It's really remarkable to see their adaptability and their commitment to economic progress.
It is.
Let's not forget the challenges they face:
Of course.
environmental degradation, political instability, the risk of losing their cultural heritage in this rapidly changing world. These are all real concerns that require ongoing attention and innovative solutions.
Absolutely.
It seems like they're walking a tightrope, balancing the need to adapt and modernize with the desire to preserve their traditions and their identity.
It's a constant tension.
Yeah.
How are they navigating these tensions?
Right.
It's an ongoing process, and there's no easy answer.
Right.
But I think one key element is their sense of community and their willingness to draw on those cultural values to try to address these modern challenges.
I'm very eager to explore how they're using their cultural heritage as this source of strength and resilience in the face of these contemporary challenges.
I think you'll find their approach both inspiring and insightful.
Okay.
It's a testament to that enduring power of culture and community in this rapidly changing world.
Okay. So it's amazing how the Gadabursi are using their cultural heritage, as a foundation for navigating these complexities of the modern world. I'm particularly interested in how they're addressing those challenges of cultural preservation in the face of globalization.
Right.
It's a balancing act that a lot of communities around the world are dealing with, What steps are they taking to ensure that their culture remains vibrant?
Well, I think one crucial step is this documentation of their oral traditions.
Okay.
We've talked about the richness of their poetry, their proverbs, their storytelling. But these traditions are vulnerable in a world increasingly dominated by written and digital forms of communication. So Gadabursi scholars and community leaders are working hard to record and transcribe these oral treasures. And also to translate them into written languages.
Right.
To make them accessible to future generations.
That's a brilliant strategy.
It is.
It's like building a bridge between, the spoken word and the written word, ensuring that those stories and that wisdom can continue to flow even as the world around them changes.
It is, but it's not just about preserving the words.
Right.
It's about understanding the context, the nuances, the subtle ways in which these traditions shape their worldview.
Yeah, without that context, those stories lose their depth, their meaning.
Exactly.
It's like looking at a beautiful tapestry. But not knowing the stories that are woven into the threads.
Exactly. And then there are the genealogies.
Okay.
Those intricate family trees.
Right.
Passed down orally.
Yeah.
They're a source of pride. A way of understanding your place within the clan.
Right.
But they can be easily forgotten if they're not documented.
Of course.
So there are efforts underway to compile these genealogies into visual charts to create this tangible record of these lineages for future study and preservation.
It's like piecing together this giant puzzle.
It is.
Connecting the dots of their history one family at a time.
Yeah, it's a monumental task.
It sounds like it.
And it's a race against time because, elders who hold this knowledge pass away.
Of course, of course.
But what's encouraging is that the younger generation is stepping up, recognizing the importance of preserving these traditions.
Okay.
They're learning from their elders. They're documenting the stories. They're using technology to create these digital archives.
That's encouraging to hear, that there's this sense of responsibility to carry the torch and make sure these traditions get passed down.
Yeah.
What about the ceremonies, these vibrant rituals we talked about earlier? Can they survive in a world that's so globalized and fast-paced?
That's the challenge.
Right.
But the Gadabursis are adaptable.
Okay.
And they're finding ways to incorporate those modern elements into their ceremonies.
Okay.
Using technology, for example, to connect with diaspora communities, to try to keep that spirit of tradition alive while acknowledging these realities of the modern world.
So it's not about clinging rigidly to the past.
No.
It's about finding creative ways to make those traditions relevant.
Exactly.
Meaningful in the present. It's like breathing new life into them.
Yeah. And education plays a huge role in this.
Right.
The Gadabursi have always placed a high value on learning.
Right.
They're building schools, establishing universities, supporting scholarship programs.
Okay.
And it's not just about technical skills. It's about teaching the next generation about their history.
Right.
About their culture, about their values.
It's about empowering them to be the custodians of their own heritage.
Exactly.
And this transmission of knowledge, it's not just limited to these formal institutions, is it?
No. Within families, elders are taking the time to teach young people.
Yeah.
To pass on the stories, the songs, the proverbs. It's this beautiful cycle of cultural continuity that ensures those roots remain strong.
Right.
Even as the branches kind of reach out into the world.
So despite the challenges, it sounds like there's this deep commitment.
There is.
To making sure that their culture thrives.
Yeah.
And it's not just about preserving the past. Correct. It's about using it as a foundation to build a stronger future.
Got it. They understand that their cultural heritage is this source of strength.
Yeah.
And resilience. And they're drawing on its wisdom to address those modern challenges like conflict resolution, economic development, environmental sustainability.
Can you give me some specific examples of how they're drawing on their traditions to address these modern challenges?
Well, we talked about their traditional mechanisms for resolving conflict, those systems of mediation and consensus building that really emphasize restoring harmony within the community.
Right, right.
These principles are now being applied to address contemporary disputes, whether over land issues, business dealings, or even political differences.
So they're adapting those time-tested approaches fit the complexities of the modern world.
They're finding ways to bridge that gap between tradition and modernity.
Yeah.
And proving that ancient wisdom can still be very effective
in
dealing with contemporary issues.
What about in the realm of economic development? How are they weaving tradition into those efforts?
Well, they recognize the importance of collective effort, pooling resources, working together for the benefit of the entire community. This spirit of collaboration, which is deeply rooted in their past, is now driving their approach to economic development. They're forming cooperatives. They're supporting small businesses and creating networks of mutual support to foster economic growth. That benefits everybody.
It's a powerful reminder that economic progress doesn't have to come at the expense of community values.
It doesn't.
You know? They're finding ways to integrate those values to their economic endeavors.
What about environmental sustainability? How are they addressing climate change? Resource scarcity. These are very pressing issues for pastoral communities.
Especially for pastoral communities.
It is a significant concern. Because, as we know, their way of life is very connected to the land and its resources. So they're working to adapt their pastoral practices to adopt more sustainable grazing methods, explore water conservation techniques, and embrace new technologies that can help them mitigate those impacts of climate change.
It sounds like they're taking a very proactive approach.
They are.
Recognizing that preserving their way of life requires adapting to the realities of this changing environment. It's about finding a balance between tradition and innovation.
Exactly. And they're not doing it alone.
Okay.
They're collaborating with scientists, agricultural experts, international organizations to try to find solutions that blend traditional knowledge with modern insights.
That's encouraging. It sounds like they're open to learning from others and incorporating new knowledge to their traditional practices.
It's about finding the best of both worlds. Respecting that wisdom of their ancestors while embracing tools and knowledge that can help them thrive in the 21st century.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the Gadabursi clan, it strikes me that their story is not just about one group in a specific corner of the world.
It's not.
You know, it's a story that speaks to universal human experiences, heritage, community, the challenges of adaptation, that enduring quest for a better future.
It is.
What do you think, as someone who's studied their culture extensively? What can we as listeners take away from the Gadabursi experience?
Well, I think you articulated it beautifully.
Okay.
Their story reminds us that no matter where we come from or what challenges we face, our cultural heritage can be a source of strength and guidance. It connects us to something larger than ourselves, you know? It provides a sense of belonging, identity, purpose. The Gadabursi demonstrate that tradition and modernity aren't mutually exclusive. They can coexist. They can complement each other. It's about finding that balance where we honor our past while also embracing those possibilities of the future.
And their commitment to community is a powerful reminder that we're all interconnected.
It is.
Their emphasis on collective well-being, on working together to overcome challenges. It offers a valuable lesson for our, increasingly individualistic world.
Absolutely. Their story really underscores the power of collaboration. Recognizing that our individual fates are tied to the well-being of our communities and the health of our planet.
Well, it's been an incredibly enriching journey.
It has.
Exploring the world of the Gadabursi clan. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and insights with us.
It's been my pleasure.
Their story deserves to be told, and their resilience deserves to be celebrated.
Absolutely.
And for you, listening, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity about the Gadabursi and Somali culture as a whole. Perhaps it's even inspired you to think about your own heritage and how its wisdom can guide you in navigating, the complexities of our modern world.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of culture and human experience.